William, hopefully your favorite videographer from Two Hats Publishing. I welcome you to another Two Hats special of community events. Let's look in and see what's really happening.
So we'll go ahead and get started. I apologize for my tardiness. I had an emergency at my home. My son has food poisoning. So we have been to the doctor and back by 10:20. So I had to hurry up and drop him off and get here. So, okay. So I apologize for being tardy today. That's why. And so I didn't get a chance to go by the office and be formal with the sign-in sheet and an agenda. So we'll just pass around this yellow sheet of paper so that everyone can sign in, please. My name is Siobhan Moore. I'm with Metro Dallas Homeless Alliance. And you guys are going to be the first to know, but let me get it straight. Hold on 1 second. I work at MDHA, and like I said, you guys will be the first to know that so I got a promotion while we were all sleeping last night. I did.
All right.
And now my new title is Director of Coordinated Access and Assessment.
All right.
So I got the email at 10:38 p.m. like I said, while we were sleeping. So you guys have So I will be doing a lot of the same duties that I was currently doing already. In addition to adding on the coordinated assessment piece, I'm going to be taking over a grant in Collin County to help them manage that. They have not been running the grant. They've had some trouble with hiring people, so I'll be responsible for hiring the staff for Collin County to work that grant. It'll run just like we are doing things here in Dallas as far as Flex Fund, case management, outreach, all of those things will, it'll just be me and Collin County. But I'll have to actually hire someone to do that. And then I'll also share responsibilities with James, our Director of Housing, to work with a new staff person that he's hiring as well. So
You need an assistant?
yeah, that's what I'm asking about that. It was so funny because when we were in the staff meeting Wednesday, Cindy was like, yeah, so Siobhan's going to be doing this and this. And I was like, that sounds like an increase in responsibilities. Is that an increase in pay? And everybody just got quiet. They're like, did she just ask that? And so I just laughed it up. I was like, ha, 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 ha. And then to hear that yesterday, so I'm truly thankful and blessed. I will continue to come and work with this body on the second Friday monthly. So this will not go away. I've been doing it now for the 5 years that I've been here. So I'm not going to just leave you guys. But it looks like we have mostly agencies here today.
Well, they didn't make an announcement.
Yeah, I figured as much.
And
And I did see a lot of our neighbors outside when I was pulling up for some reason, so I'm not sure why there was a problem with coming inside today. So I will go and ask them to make the announcement in just a second. We're going to do things a little bit differently today, just because I don't have an agenda. I prepared one, I just didn't have time to go by the office and get it. I'll let Ricky go ahead and come up and introduce himself. We didn't do introductions. Mr. Holman is our other chair of this body in addition to Ricky, but Mr. Holman had to travel out of town today, so he'll be back next month, and he'll have some good news for you guys next month as well. So let's go around and introduce ourselves and tell who we are. If you want to tell the agency you work for or the program or project that you are enrolled in, that'll be great.
I'm Ricky Red, I'm a volunteer with MDHA.
Okay.
Merle Humphrey, North Texas Behavioral Health Authority, used to be with ABC.
Tricia Arzola, I'm with Hope Store New Beginning, a housing case manager.
I am Pamela Moman with Reach of Dallas. We work with individuals with disabilities.
My name is Leo Parker. I'm with St. Paul United Methodist Church in the Body and Soul Homeless Ministry that's downtown. In the Arts District, we serve meals, and we also work with various
Patrice.
Okay, I'm William Docker, your favorite videographer, and that nails all the good stuff. I'm also looking for a camera grip, because I'm now covering in a Lutheran church down there, Martin Luther King Drive, by the MKL Center.
I'm Patrice Denning with Union Gospel Mission. I work with the Center of Hope in Riverport Women and Children.
Tell me your name again.
Patrice.
Welcome. We're very excited to have you, Jim, here today.
Yes, we are.
Thank you.
Yes.
My name's Ed Housewright. I'm researching a book on homelessness.
My name is Lisa Blunt. I'm an intake and outreach coordinator with the City of Dallas.
And my name is Richard Williams. I also work with the City of Dallas Homeless Outreach Services.
Well, thanks everyone for being here today. I'm looking at my email because we actually just got, the Flex Fund just got awarded more money through United Way for the 2017-2018 school year. Yes, I am a PTA mom. For the 2017-2018 year. So we applied for that grant, I think in April, and we were awarded it. So, yay, go to go. You want to come up and talk about your report and everything? Ricky is going to talk a little bit about how to beat the heat and where to go this summer. And I'm going to go have them make the announcement.
This was really meant,
Ask them about the coffee.
Okay.
really meant for people that need to get out of the heat, but I'll go ahead and give my speech anyway. In case y'all don't know exactly what I do, I'm with the MDHA. I'm on the board of directors, and I serve on several of the committees, including the allocations committee, which decides who gets the money and who doesn't. So that's some of the things that I do. But you know what? It's going to start getting hot out there, isn't it? It's going to get so hot that I heard McDonald's were going to start frying their hamburgers on cars. That's right. It's going to get, matter of fact, it's going to get so hot out there that whenever I walk outside, I'm going to be sweating like Mike Rollins is going to be sweating when the next election comes. That's how hot it's going to be. So what do? How do you get out of the heat? And by the way, the forecast is, the meteorologists are saying that it's likely going to be a very hot summer because it was a warm spring. And the pattern is that usually means hot, really hot. So first of all, the circuit. Use the circuit. You know, the bridge, the library, the student body. Now the bridge, the pavilion is now air conditioned. So I don't know why they didn't do that to begin with, but anyway, that's another subject. But so the pavilion is air conditioned, and so try to stay out of the heat the best you can. Of course, the library is air conditioned, as we feel in here now, and so we can stay in here. And the student pod, they're air conditioned. They kind of keep it turned up a little bit, but they have those fans on, so it's pretty comfortable in there too. So you stay in the circuit as much as you can and stay out of the heat. Another thing you can do during the summer, I advise, is the summer isn't necessarily a time to start taking care of a lot of business that requires going out in the heat. It's a good time to kind of stay in, get your resume, get your cover letter, do all your research that you need to do for your job interviews or your housing programs that you're going to get signed up for, and get all that done inside the air conditioning. And then when it starts cooling down, now you're ready to go out and start looking for a job or doing your interview work, right, and doing all those things. Not a good idea to get out, way out somewhere, waiting on a bus for an hour in the heat, you know. And so another thing you can do, if you just want to get away from the circuit and get away from things for a while, go to the movies. Movies is always good air conditioning, and the Discount Theater in Garland, they have an early matinee during the summer. So if you got to be somewhere back at the shelter, there's a good chance that you could break the movies and still get back. Midday bus pass is $1.75, and then the movie I think is $1.25 or something like that. And so it's a good idea to, you want to get away. Oh, and by the way, the discount theater there in Garland is right next to the Garland Transit Center, which is also air conditioned. So you can wait on the bus inside the station in the air conditioning. So that's one thing you can do. Another thing you can do is you can do a midday bus pass, $1.75. Ride the train to Parker Road Station, get off, go to Dairy Queen, get you an ice cream, go back to the station, ride back, and it only costs a few dollars. You can get away from things, have you a nice little ice cream cone at Dairy Queen, or maybe a milkshake there at Whataburger at the Parker Road Station. And so it doesn't cost much. So a couple of things that you don't want to do when it gets hot is alcohol. Of course, I know Siobhan says, you're a good one to say that. But you know, I got a drinking problem. But alcohol is an extremely bad thing. Sodas are not particularly good. You want to drink water. Water. That's the thing you want to do. So, in conclusion, my final piece of advice is, when it comes to beating the heat, is drink a lot of water and walk slow.
Thanks, Ricky. Real quick, I'll bring you up to date to where we are with the DART program. For those of you who do not know, we're piloting a program with DART to our homeless clients can receive 50% off of passes once they enroll in the program with MDHA. So it's 50% off of a 31-day pass, a day pass, and a 2-hour pass. They don't do the 7-day passes anymore. So you get 50% off of that. Case managers who are here, if you want to enroll your clients, you just send me an email with their name and date of birth. I'll make sure that they're in HMIS, and then we'll get them enrolled in the program. We currently have, as of June 1st, I almost said May 1st, there were 89 people enrolled in the program. That means 89 people had gone to DART, taken their $2, and purchased a reduced DART ID that you need to participate in the program, because you have to have that DART discount ID to show, yes, I am eligible for this discount. So 89 people had purchased that on June 1st, and there was still room on the list. DART will only allow 200 people. And so we are just about halfway there at this point, which is good because this goes through December 31st. So now we have to spend the remainder of the year getting another 100 people. So 89 people. One of the important things that we had to initiate this time around that we didn't do last year during the 6-month pilot, clients are only able to be on the list for 60 days without purchasing the pass. So if you send me your client's name and date of birth, I'll
Please join us for a meeting of the Metro Dallas Homeless Alliance on floor 5. Thank you.
Okay. I'll add the client to the list, and then they have 60 days to take their $2 and go and purchase the pass. And the reason for that is I had added some names in January, and it was May, and those clients still hadn't purchased the pass, and they were just taking up a spot, because we're only giving 200 spots for another person who really needed that pass, who had started working. So we give them 60 days. That's 2 cycles to get Social Security benefits, a monthly check, whatever your monthly check is. 2 opportunities to get that. And if you haven't purchased that $2 reduced DART ID by then, we will remove you from the list. And if the case manager sees that you're ready, then we'll add you back on. But it's just so that we can, like I say, always have, space available for individuals as they get jobs and things of that nature. So that's the DART program. Yes.
Now, I came up with this quite some time ago, but I never remembered to say anything about it when we were discussing it. Now, I had yet to take a city bus to Dallas, and I'm more studious than anybody I know. But with all the one-way streets, it gets confusing, and over a period of time, I have talked to a lot of people, especially at the bridge, who've gotten attacked by gangs while they were trying to find their way back because they got lost. So I was saying that if they had some type of program where they could educate the people on the bus routes, like if you want to go somewhere, what route you take to get there, and in case of it's a one-way street, what street you go to keep the bus coming back. And I've also heard a lot of horror stories. I've never been to it, but I've heard a lot of horror stories about people selling drugs and whatever at West End. But I said, you had some kind of educational,
Okay, so I have a meeting with DART, I think it's June 28th, I think.
that would encourage people.
Okay,
by
and I
testing to be on their way around.
I will take that concern to the meeting that I have with them on the 28th and see if there's some education opportunities available there. I do know, just one second, Robert. I do know. Oh, I'm sorry. He said that there are several people, homeless clients, who have never ridden the bus before, and they.
I'm saying I haven't ridden the bus.
He hasn't ridden the bus.
Because the routes are confusing with all one-way streets.
He has
I
not.
also said that I had talked to people who had gotten attacked by gangs, because they had gotten lost and they were having trouble finding going back. So getting attacked makes it worse.
Okay.
So I say, if there's some kind of regulation to educate the people on getting around, that would encourage them to buy a pass, which they will do. I mean,
Okay.
they're not going to buy something that they're not going to do.
Right. Okay. So he's asking for an educational opportunity to inform on how to properly ride DART. And we've done that before in the past, a couple of years ago. We had a regular C-Track Think Train initiative. C-Track Think Train. And that was the opportunity where we had
When
to.
you're registering DART, are you going to present the entire bus system?
Yes.
Or is it just the train?
That's the bus and the trains.
That's all?
And the D-Link and everything. So it's the entire system.
Okay, because I mean, I've tried to learn this, and it's
Okay.
too complicated to me.
Okay, we can talk about it, and I can go over with you how to get on and get off. Robert had a question.
Yeah.
Is it about the DART program?
Yeah,
Okay, go.
The new budget talks about the reduced bus pass, not going to Fort Worth or Denton in the new budget.
Yeah, so I have a meeting with her, that's what I was saying a second ago, on the 28th, I think it is, of this month to go over that. And so they'll let me know then what we're gonna do and how it's gonna affect this program.
Well, it helps people like, people looking for work, extend their boundaries and
Right.
cut it down a lot.
Yeah, so I'll see how that's gonna affect us and affect our clients who arrive at TRA when I meet with her at the end of the month.
Does a bus pass expire? I mean, if you buy a pass, does it expire?
Yes, the passes do expire. Let me back up. The reduced DART ID, you can use until, do you need help?
No, I'm just coming through.
Come on in. The reduced DART ID you can use until December 31st. That will expire. Now, if you buy a day pass, yes, that does expire. The day pass. 'Cause it's just, huh?
Expires the end of the day.
I think it's like 3 a.m. in the morning when it expires.
That's correct.
I'm going to ask you about that. Every kid comes, I have never seen it, people
Yeah.
leave them when they don't. They expire at 3 in the morning, according to the schedules, I think, the buses stop, but we don't run later than 1, depending on where you are.
Some of them do run a little bit later. You just have to make sure you check the schedule to make sure that you're getting on that last bus timely so that you can get back home.
I'm just saying.
Yeah. Where I stay, the last one is at like 10:15.
The last one gets to wherever it's going to go at about 1 o'clock in the morning. Unless they're taking really extended.
Well, and on the, right, and on the
That would
week,
have to do, this is the only major city I've ever been in that has no all-night bus service at all.
on the weekend, it does run later, so that's why they extend it till 3.
And I
Like,
understand every other major city I've ever been in has some type of all-night bus service.
okay, all right.
Some people work nights and they gotta get home.
Okay, anything else, any other questions about the DART program? I had another announcement that slipped my mind. We will allow Merle to come on up and talk about her program. Yeah.
I'm working with some of the mental health agencies and trying to get them to open up and partner with some of the housing agencies. If they do that, will their clients be eligible for that DART program?
As long as their client is enrolled in a program that enters into HMAs, yes. So if they're going like to a Metro Care program, and Metro Care does enter.
Well, this would be a different one because Metro Care is already part of us.
Okay, we can talk about that to see how we can work that partnership out.
I just thought that might be
Yeah.
another way I could sell them on it.
Yeah, I don't want to, of course, we want everyone to enter into HMIS because as we've reported in the past, we're not where we need to be with getting all of our homeless clients in there. But if there's a client who is working and they need to get back and forth to work, we certainly make those allowances. Go ahead.
Yeah, why can't you get the Dallas Life Foundation guy here? I want to drill it because it's $12 a day.
All I can do is invite. We're lucky to have one of our other shelters here. I can't go and just grab his hand and pull him on over here. All I can do is invite
You
him.
know, went up to $12 a day?
Yes, I did know
You
that.
take a bunch of that, you still got, you kicked out during the day, they make an excuse, well, they have to clean it up.
Yep.
Hey, UGM in Fort Worth, you stay there during the day, Salvation Army, you stay there during the day. Why is that idiot, you know, I'm just saying, I mean, he's got a reputation.
Right.
okay?
All I can do is extend the invitation. I will continue to extend it and hopefully someone from his staff will eventually come. But I extend it to everybody. We have a new shelter here today. Union Gospel's here today.
UGM?
Yep. They have not been here in the past. All right, so we will allow Merle to come on up. She's going to talk to us about some housing programs that she has available or coming up.
And I'm not gonna come up just because I'm still recovering from a broken heel. And I can walk pretty good, but I can't stand very long. So, I want to tell you first of all about what we're doing at North Texas Behavioral Health Authority that relates to housing. Number one, they hired me, and I'm the housing specialist. And there are two kinds of funds that are available. And one is funds that are called TRN, and those are temporary rental assistance funds. Those are very limited, and those are only for people leaving jail or a shelter or like the state hospital. They need help with housing for the first 30 days. And those funds are for a boarding home. Now, that's not my favorite kind of place to put people, but if it's a transitional place before they, hopefully get more out on their own, then that's a good start. The second kind of funds that we offer are supported housing funds. These funds, there is a little bit of a limit on how much you can get. The first thing you need to know, though, is you have to get them through a mental health provider because they are supposed to be part of an overall treatment plan for that person. So you can't just show up there and say, I want some of your housing funds. Because that's not the way it works with those funds. It has to be part of your treatment plan to get those funds. And those funds, the way that they came from Austin, it says you can use them for deposits for utilities, deposits for rent, and we found a few ways to fudge that a little bit, so I would tell you those, but I won't announce it in a meeting or write it down. But it has to average out to about $840 a month. We have a lot of that money right now that will expire in August. So right now, if you're working with a client or if you know someone that really needs some help to get into independent living, this is the time to get them involved with their mental health provider talking about how to access those funds. Because if it's $840 limit, but you only have 3 months to use them, you can use more than $840 a month for those 3 months. You can pay the deposit, you can pay the first month's rent, you can pay the second month's rent, you can pay the third month's rent. Then in September, they need to be able to pay that rent by themselves. But for a lot of people, that extra leg up would be enough to get them where they need to be. Yes.
Question. Will that work with Section 8? Like if they are in a PSH and they want to go to independent living, can they use that money for a deposit for that?
It's possible.
Okay.
What was the TRN stand for?
Temporary rental assistance. I don't know. It's an acronym, but apparently it doesn't match what it stands for. I don't develop these things.
sir.
On the, I forget what the second one is called.
Supported housing.
Supported housing, funding. Does the money need to be spent by August?
Yes.
Or does it need to be encumbered by August?
Well, it has to be
So, for instance-
obligated.
Yeah, so for instance, if I had an individual who needed 6 months of assistance, and I encumbered it now,
No,
could I pay? Okay,
no. Only what expenses are gonna be between now and August 31st.
that's not how they did it in the past. That's why I asked. In the past, it just had to be obligated to that.
That was Value Options world.
Okay.
That's not the world we live in, apparently.
Gotcha.
Is ABC out of business now, or what?
Yeah, ABC's done.
Gone?
Robert, that's not what
I was curious about this new program, North Texas Behavioral Health Authority, as far as how it can assist those who are not necessarily homeless, but at risk. Maybe they were homeless, and now they have moved into housing, and now but they still have addiction problems and mental problems. What kind of funding is available for those individuals who are at risk?
Funding is available to help with services for people who don't get Medicaid or Medicare. We don't help people that already have an insurance benefit like Medicaid or Medicare, but we do help those indigent people that don't have those. And that includes mental health services, outpatient. That includes going to certain hospitals. They have to be screened before they're admitted. And it includes substance use services. And again, there's an OSAR screening team that has to decide who gets into substance use treatment and in what format. Is it residential? Is it outpatient? We have several different levels. And so those screeners are all certified substance use specialists, and they screen and make those decisions. Yes?
For the substance abuse, do you have to also have mental?
No.
So it's either or? So it's-
No, it can be both.
It can be both, but you don't have to have both.
You don't have to have both.
It's not too dissimilar from how value options, you qualify for value options. It's just a smaller pool of money. Really, that's the biggest difference. So if you were to be able to get services through in the old value options arena through indigent care, you most likely will be able to get it.
But you can't just show up in hospitals and get admitted.
Exactly. NIPA was involved in the
Yeah.
old days.
Yeah, this
NIPA
is
contracted
not
to
new.
value options. So NIPA is a regional organization for this kind of funding. In the old days, they paid value options to run the system. Now they're doing it themselves, is how you have to look at it.
And it really makes more sense. Back when I worked in the field, I always wished that we could eliminate the middleman and the corporate profit and just, run the programs. Now we do, but then the state cut our funds.
One other question. I was also told that compared to the old way of doing things, that people who have severe addiction problems, that there are no longer programs that will keep them, if they go in, they detox and then they're put into an outpatient program. There are no longer any inpatient programs that would, 30 days or 60 days.
There are still residential programs, and in fact, the standard is 30 days, where under value options, it was 14.
Oh, really? Okay, well, it's, okay.
But again, if you have Medicaid or Medicare, then you need to be approaching those agencies for your substance use treatment, not North Texas Behavioral
You
Health.
must understand that the standard of 28 days is not, it was kind of arbitrarily. It's based on how much PTO somebody might have, not how much vacation time your average employee has. It's not based on how much time it takes to get clean.
Well, and it's very individualized. I mean, if somebody doesn't need 30 days, then, you know, and then, you know, sometimes the substance use programs like Homeward Bound or Turtle Creek, they have other sources of funds. So if they're working with someone that is getting close to the 30 days and they can tell this person is not ready to go yet, they may put them in one of their other grants and keep them. So there's lots of options out there to help people get the amount of time that they need.
Well, that's a little bit different than what I was made to understand, so I was told that the funding was no longer there for, that it was just detox and outpatient program. That's not true, though.
No.
Okay, well,
That's why we're here. Set it straight.
We contract with, just in case you didn't know this, we contract with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 different programs for substance use services.
Does that include NAPA?
That does not include NAPA. NAPA?
NAPTA.
NAFTA is an association, that's not.
The one down there on Martin Luther King?
APA.
APA.
They don't do inpatient services.
And they don't do, their outpatient program is not one that can be paid for at this point. Yes.
I think it's just, there's an individual that was formerly homeless,
Okay.
and the individual tried to navigate themselves in getting like a part-time job, housing. They're finding difficulty, and there is mentally challenged.
Are they working with a provider?
No, this is what it is. They have not been in a system or assigned a social worker, a case manager to help navigate through all the system. So where would I go or advise this
The ones, the
person?
mental health providers?
Come to you
No,
to what?
Metro
Alvin
Care,
Family Guidance.
IPS, there's like 6 of them.
Go where, okay. Just tell me one person.
Here,
Right
here's my product.
Here.
You call me.
Okay.
Okay?
Great, that's all I need to know.
Metro Care, take care
Oh,
of
Lord.
it. We'll give you another provider.
Okay, go from there to you. Okay.
You don't have to use me.
That's all I need to know.
But
We just started having
I
this
would call Ken, because he's always been really nice to me, but he may not be that way with everybody, I don't know.
Okay, great.
Can you want to introduce yourself?
Sure. My name is Ken Mobo. I am the Director of Supportive Services, of Permanent Supportive Housing and Veteran Services at Metro Care.
Oh,
I've been doing this since 2009, as far as helping people get off the streets and out of the shelters and into housing. So in this community, I think I know what can be and can't be done. And I'm happy to be here and answer any questions. Most of you, or a lot of you, just know me. So.
I have one more thing about supported housing that I forgot to say a while ago. If somebody is already in housing and they lost their job and they're working on getting another one, but they can't pay this month's rent, this money can be used for that too. So if it can prevent someone from becoming homeless, yes,
Okay, let's go, okay, great.
That's where you're going to spend all your money.
That's great.
that's okay. If we don't spend it, it'll reduce the amount we get next year, so we definitely.
So talk to me a little bit about what you just said.
Okay, so for example, if somebody has been paying their own rent
Right.
and they lost their job and they can't pay this month's rent, if they go and tell their caseworker and their mental health provider, they can write a check to cover that rent and those utilities for a month or two until they're back on their feet.
Okay.
Yes.
They have to have a case.
Have to be removed.
Everybody that goes to the mental health center has a caseworker, that's part of the law.
Okay.
Well, with one catch, certain packages, package one, you would not have a case manager, but you can get to a staff member who can help you in this instance.
Well, in the data system, you have a caseworker even if that
Yeah.
person's not available, so you do have access.
Yeah. Okay. because I get a lot of calls for prevention, so I'll make sure, I'll ask those questions, you know, are you working with the mental health provider? So that I can,
And that money is out not only at MetroCare, which obviously gets the biggest part of it because they're the biggest agency, it's also at Integrated Psychiatric Solutions, Psychotherapeutic Solutions. I just call it IPS. And if people called today and said, I just want to go to a new provider, I don't know who to go to, I would suggest they think about IPS just because they're new with us. And, you know, how it is with somebody who's new, they, you know, not that MetroCare is not good. But one of the things I'm going to be doing in my role as the housing specialist is working with other mental health providers to contract and work with housing providers so that we have more than one choice.
right.
Because you always want people to have choices, right? And then the other thing I'm going to be working on, and I've already started working on, is North Texas Behavioral Health Authority is responsible for coordinating behavioral health services in Kaufman County, Rockwall County, Hunt County, Ellis County, Navarro County, and Dallas County. And we're going to be working on applying for some of that money for rural county housing too. Because if they got their own housing, then they wouldn't be sending their people into Dallas to use our housing, right?
So you have two programs that you spoke of today, TRN and supportive housing. And both of those programs, you need to spend money by August.
The TRN, not so much,
Okay.
but there's no guarantee how much we're going to have of that come September.
Okay.
But the supported housing, we have a big amount right now. Yes,
Okay.
ma'am.
Most of the time, like you said, when I find people that are in that situation, just need rent money or whatever for a couple months, to tell them to call 311. Because if they call 311 and give them their zip code, they're gonna give them a whole list of all the agencies, and like around here, Martin Luther King Community Center, you know, they help with that, with rent for a couple months, with utility bills, with all that. But sometimes the first thing to do is call 311, because they have a whole list of what's local to where you live and what your zip code is. And they're very up to date and informative and helpful to people. So it's a good thing to try that first.
So that's another option. If you're working with a mental health provider, then let them know, you know, what your needs are, and it's very possible that that supported housing money could fix some of those problems too. Any other questions to do with anything else that North Texas Behavioral Health Authority does or that you're wondering about? They are responsible for knowing about everybody who gets behavioral health services, whether it's through Medicaid, Medicare, or the Indigent Fund. So even those providers like MetroCare, Child and Family, they have to report those services to the people on Medicaid and Medicare to North Texas Behavioral Health too. Because all of that has to go in together to Austin to show them what the need is in this area.
Got any question, Merle?
Sure.
You think the housing is getting better or worse for the homeless?
I think right now it's probably staying at a standstill. And given the current administration, we'll see what happens.
What do you think about the new administration?
I'm not going to answer that in this room.
One more question. Will you ever go in front of city council and tell them what the problems are?
I don't do that individually.
I mean, in front of city council.
I'm sorry, I'm not sure
In
what
front of
you're...
city council, tell them what the problems are you see about homelessness in Dallas County, city of Dallas. Because they would expect you. Would you be able to do it?
No, because I work for an agency, so
I need to know.
I'm not allowed to go and just do that on my own.
So I need to know.
All right. So thanks, Merle, for coming to talk about the programs that are available. Just remember, if you're here today as a case manager, you do
And I
have
do
to,
have some cards.
you have to contact North Texas Behavioral Health on behalf of your client. Your client cannot contact Merle. So just,
Well, clients call me, but,
okay. You want to open that floodgate?
well, if I'm not there, I'm not there. But if I'm there and I can talk to them, but what you have to understand is I can talk to them about the funds that are available, but no funds are coming from us. They have to go through the mental health provider to get those funds. But if you need some help asking about how to ask for those, you're welcome to call. Thank you.
Any other questions for Merle? All right, so we'll go ahead and do the note card session. If anyone here wants to speak for 3 minutes, I'll allow you to. We don't have the actual note cards today, so I'm gonna have to write down what you say. So anybody need a 3-minute vent session? Robert, go. Robert, come on, you're first.
Up there, or just
You
right
can do
here?
it from right there.
Okay, Robert Chacarelli, I've been in newspapers and CBS and other news. I'm just saying, also was a website about homelessness in my name, it's got about 10 pages about the problems with homelessness. And I don't know what to say, man, because city council hasn't done anything at all, and I'm just saying, the answer I just received, nothing's going to happen unless people speak up in front of city council. And I'm just a person, okay, but we have people, not just this lady here to my right, but everybody that has information they need to share, but they don't want to share because they don't want to mess with chumminess with, people they work with. They want to stay friends with people. And I'm just, pissed that we have people that can really, really break this wide open, but they refuse to do it. And it's everybody. I'm not mentioning no name, it's everybody. I'm the only one doing it.
But Robert.
Wait, I got my 3 minutes, you can get 3 minutes. It's just, ever since March, it's been quiet about the homelessness, and it's going to stay quiet. Because, homeless people are not going to speak up. I know what happened to the guy in the wheelchair, black guy.
Oh, yeah.
What happened to him?
I don't recall his name.
Mr. Dunn.
Yes.
So he's the only one got people involved with vouchers. See, these people like Merle, everybody else, I hate Merle, but, I need to get involved and make sure people get vouchers. Homeless people do that. See, you got a job, but everyone has a job, but you need to step outside the box and tell what it's like to the city manager, what is it like in Dallas. And you're not the only one, Merle, like I said. Everyone's refused to do it. Larry, James, everybody. I'm not going to mention more names, but it's just frustrating that you can do something about it. And they would listen to you. You used to be the CEO of ABC Behavior, and you got a new job. It seems like nobody cares. Nobody cares. And I can say it directly because I'm involved in it. I've been in the media about it. I've been very outspoken about it. But it just pisses me off that no one wants to step outside the box and lay it on to the city council, because if they got it from people that have some kind of title that people they know about, something might happen. But since y'all keep quiet all the time, city council doesn't do a darn thing. They don't care unless people speak up. And y'all should just resign, step out, and don't get paid a darn dime, because you're not helping nobody, because homelessness is worse than it was last year.
All right, thank you.
Thank you very much. Did you take that?
So I want to go back one. I remember what my other thought was that I had when I was talking earlier. Last month, in May, we did the forum was surrounded around the Section 8 vouchers. And Mr. Holman had a presentation that he showed, and there were individuals from various agencies here and to represent And he charged us with coming back in 3 months to provide some follow-up and things of that nature. And so this has kind of been on my mind, and I wanted to kind of get some words, I guess, from you guys, suggestions on how we should move forward with the issue that we have with Section 8, where Section 8 income discrimination, that's what it was, the forum was about last month. And believe it or not, Robert is right in the sense of we need to go as a forum to speak to City Council and say that we have these concerns about the vouchers and income discrimination, to let them know that, they know, but they need to hear from us and our homeless neighbors that this is a concern and people are being denied apartments and this is why. So I wanted to take about 5 to 7 minutes for any feedback, if you attended last month's meeting, any feedback that you wanted to bring here today.
Well, just a couple of things. I think the short-term solution is, and this was told to me by somebody who knows a lot more of the business than I do, economic incentives. And so to make it, money, the old saying, money talks and BS walks. So to make it more profitable to accept the vouchers. There's no question about it that this voucher discrimination is a big problem. There's no question about that. And so, but the short-term solution is to fix it so that they can make a lot of money. The long-term solution, though, is, in my opinion, is to somehow or another change the law. That, and I'm not a lawyer, so I don't know exactly how to do that. But put it, and I understand that the Mayor Rollins, when they put it before the City Council, that they actually passed it for the veterans. Is that right? The veterans? The discrimination for the vouchers. They passed it to where you could not discriminate, you could not have voucher discrimination if they were a veteran. But Mayor Rollins supposedly quoted some kind of a state law, and I don't know, he's a lawyer and I'm not, so that said that he couldn't do that. And so they voted it down for everybody with the exception of veterans. And so supposedly the state of Texas is a property right law. They have a property right state. It's my property. I can do anything I want to with my property. If I want to tell you you can't use your voucher here, I can do that because that's part of the law. Well, that's not right. And so that's the only thing I can say as far as a long-term solution is to get some lawyers on it, people who know a lot more about that than I do, and somehow or another to the city council, to the mayor, to Austin, to the Supreme Court, Washington, whatever it takes to legal aid, get some people involved to how to change it so that it is illegal to discriminate against people just because they got a voucher. That's all I got.
Claire? Yeah, and I think Ricky's absolutely right, and I've been saying this for years because in a lot of states, when we have these issues with bills of rights for homeless people, the only way that they change it is changing the law and to get organizations like the National Coalition for Homelessness in Washington. And years ago, we did have them come down here and do some training with our homeless groups, and we need to do that again because he's absolutely right. We need to get the help, and there is free help all around the country from organizations and lawyers that will help people fight for these rights. Except we just don't use them here in Dallas like they do in other states. In other states, they can't throw people out of Tent City because there's laws against it. If you have nowhere to go and there's not enough shelters in your city, then they have to be somewhere. And you can't take their stuff and trash it like they do in Dallas, and you can't do all the other kind of stuff that they do because the laws have prohibited it, because people have fought and got lawyers and agencies like the National Coalition for Homelessness to help them change those laws, and that's what we have to do. We have to organize and we have to get people to go to Austin, like they do in other states, you know, they get big buses from churches and stuff, and they go to the state capitol, and they legislate and lobby like the rich people do, and that's what we need to do. Rick is absolutely right. It's hard to organize homeless people sometimes to get them out of the stew pot, to get them up here, or to get them to the city council. All they're doing is sitting in the stew pot and watching movies all day. Please.
You see the bags now, you see the bags.
Go ahead, Steve.
I wasn't here last month, so I made this, my question or my concern may have already been answered. But are we saying that discrimination against people with vouchers is our problem, why the vouchers aren't getting used? Because in my experience, the property owners and such that I'm dealing with, it's not about they don't want the people there. It's about they don't want to deal with DHA, or the voucher doesn't have enough money because the market is above what the voucher is worth. I've actually maybe once in the hundreds of conversations had with the property owners and property developers that I don't want vouchers because I don't like the people who have it. The other 999 conversations are about there's no money in it and I can't stand dealing with DHA.
Well, the COC meeting,
Siobhan, excuse me, I'm sorry.
COC meeting last month, and Mr. Holman presented, his voucher was $1,400. And he found an apartment that was $1,100 a month, and yet they were all willing to work with him until they found out that he had a voucher. $1,400.
But are we sure that's because they didn't want him, or is that because they didn't want to deal with the housing authority? Because I'll tell you, dealing with the housing authority is so cumbersome, that bureaucracy, it takes so long to get your money.
I hadn't thought of that.
That is a huge problem in our community.
So our agencies are seeing exactly what Ken is seeing, but then our clients are being told that, you know, they don't want to work with the voucher, not because of issues with DHA, but, you know, because they just don't want to take that form of payment. So we're hearing like a two-part story going on, which is good because now we know what agencies are experiencing and also what the clients are experiencing. And so it sounds like we need to go to DHA and say, these are some of the concerns that we have.
So what are the other concerns? Is renting, they can't get their money on time, what else?
Well, the main complaint from the people I'm talking about is that it's such an arduous, long process to get a voucher that you actually, from the point where you start the process to the point you actually get a check. So if I'm a property in this market that's so hot that I can rent my apartment on the market like tomorrow, if I hold an apartment to get through this DHA process of inspections and everything, and it takes me 3-4 months, that's good on a good time. That's 3-4 months of revenue that I just tossed away because I have a heart for helping this individual with a voucher, whereas there's another guy who can come in and pay me rent for those 3-4 months, who is low income and such. So why do I care who I help? Let me help somebody while I help myself.
Right. 4 months from now.
So I mean, go ahead.
Siobhan, I don't know, because, you know, I've been in Chicago for like 8 weeks on and off, except for about 5 days with family deaths. But Charles Piano told me that and you probably heard from him, did you hear from him?
Not yet.
That the apartment complex that we put all the homeless people in, including Charles Piano, somebody bought it. And we took it over, and they found out from looking at, you know, the stuff in their office, how many formerly homeless people were there. They said we want no formerly homeless people, even though the rents are being paid. And they kicked them all out. They evicted them basically unless they moved by themselves. And although I understand that they placed everybody in the housing. But that's what they said. We want no homeless people or formerly homeless people here.
I'm not saying discrimination is not there. Let's be clear. That I just am saying what is the major problem with using vouchers. I believe that discrimination is not the major issue with the use of vouchers. It's the cumbersome bureaucracy, and the number one is there's not enough money on your average voucher.
Right.
Right now, our market is above what the vouchers are worth. Then the secondarily is, I gotta deal with all this paperwork, and all this in time. And then, I think you're right. Tertiary, it's probably, I don't wanna deal with those people. I don't know who they are, I'm a property owner, it sounds difficult, I'd rather not deal with them. So yes, I think it's a part of the problem, I just don't know if it's the number
But
one.
in that film that we keep seeing at all the meetings, doesn't it say that that's a myth, that they actually get their money in 5 days?
That's what
That's what it says.
That's what we're getting told,
Money in
but
5 days, that's what they're telling us.
I know
a check from
that
them.
that is not the case.
Okay.
I guarantee you
It's
that is
not
not the case. You can't get a person in for the initial eligibility for voucher within a month and a half at DHA.
Well,
right?
once they're in the property, and how long does it take? If they've been there 3, 4, 5 months, we've done all the initial paperwork, how long is it taking you to get a check at that point?
Well, once the inspection and everything's been
Right.
done, well, then you generally get a check pretty quickly, right,
Okay.
within the first couple, but you've already been waiting for a check for 4 or
Right,
5
right, right.
months.
But once it starts,
once it starts,
you're
you're
good.
in.
And that person can't move in until all those
Right,
inspections
correct.
and everything are done, so they're never gonna get paid for those
Help with
months.
that?
The flex fund would be able to cover rent for, say, 3 months until
For an
DHA.
apartment sitting empty while it's waiting to be filled.
No, yeah, once the process is all done, then DHA is good about paying on time going
Okay.
forward. It's
It's just
getting
getting
through
them
the
in.
initial process.
Okay.
And, once again, we've got, I think last time I checked, the vacancy, the occupancy rate for our multifamily apartments in our community is 96.2 or something.
Yeah.
And that 3 point whatever that's empty is just somebody moving and it takes them a
Right.
couple weeks to get it turned. They don't need vouchers. We're in a market where they don't need to deal with, they've got people with cash on hand who can fill the unit. So we have to make it as easy as possible to use the voucher for any property owner. I mean, they're businessmen, they're businesswomen. They want to make the most money they can off their property, and right now with the voucher system, it's not as efficient as it could be.
Well, and what we really need to do is we need to get our data up, our statistics on how many homeless people we really have, so that we get a bigger draw of the federal money to create new apartment complexes for homeless people, right?
Yeah, honestly, I think that at least has to be a part of the solution, that we build our own properties. If we wait on the market is, will leave us behind every day more than we are today. And there are like Catholic Charities has bought an apartment complex in North Dallas that they're converting. I think it's called St. Jude Apartment or something like that. It's got about 100 units.
And they're all one bedroom for single people.
And that'll be coming online probably by the end of the year.
Are they gonna open it up to everybody, or are they just gonna keep it internally?
Well, they were talking, that's up for discussion, so
Okay.
right now they're talking to us about saying maybe give us 30, maybe give 30 to City Square, and then do the other 40 as vouchers with DHA. That's probably, some mix like that is probably what's gonna happen. Salvation Army is working on their capital campaign, and Brooke is pushing very hard, probably speaking out of turn because it's not my organization, but she's pushing very hard for them to do, to build property, to put that, to get money to build property. So there's momentum about, hey, we can't keep on depending on the market to satisfy this need. And this is not just about people in this room, this is about affordable housing in Dallas.
Yeah.
Right now, you don't have to be homeless to be able to find a place.
That's right.
I mean, you just have to make less than, you can have a pretty good job and still be struggling in our community. That's only getting worse.
When I took Ready to Rent, I have a house now, but when I went to, this is one of the things we talked about in Ready to Rent, when I moved into my house, it was November 1st or October 30th, something like that. And my lease in this apartment that I was renting wasn't up until November 7th. So right now, I have a broken lease because I vacated, even though I turned in the key, I vacated the property before my lease was up. So I have a negative hit on my rental history if I have to go and rent an apartment again because they wouldn't let me out of the lease for 7 days. So I had to pay the money, but that hit is still there, but you know.
And you see, if you drive around or ride a train around or bus, you see apartment complexes going up left and right. Well, you know what the average for a one-bedroom apartment in those complexes is?
It's like
Yeah, it's
1,600.
like 1,600, 1,700. So it begs, who is it that's moving it? Because these are 300, 400 unit apartment complexes, but they're darn sure not the low income people in this community. They're not building it because there's no incentive. If I've got a piece of property and I can build apartments that I can rent minimum for $1,700, why would I build something that I have to rent them all for $800? Except for that I'm just a nice person who wants to help the community. There's not a lot of angels out there. Let's just be honest.
Well, unless, like a lot of places in Dallas, they're getting federal funds and perks and stuff, you know, because they're supposed to have 10% or 20% of affordable housing. Now, I talked to some big real estate person who doesn't want me to say their name here, and they told me that there's one way to get around that in Dallas, and that's to bring in developers from out of the country. Even though they're getting all the grants and everything in Dallas and in Texas, if they're not developers or builders in the U.S., they're from China or Thailand or whatever, they don't have to do that. That makes no sense to me. We need to stop that kind of stuff.
They're taking advantage of a loophole in the law.
Yeah.
But as a businessman trying to maximize my profit, if I can get some guy from China to give me $500,000 so he gets a citizenship and I get to say I don't have to follow those rules, that's what I'm going to do. Hey, the president's son-in-law
But
is doing
citizens
it.
need to know
Okay,
that's
so-
what's going on when they ask why don't we have affordable housing. They need to know that and we need to stop it. Like he said, we need to fight, go to the legislature, change the laws, because that's crazy.
All right, did you have a comment, Arthur?
Yeah, no, he touched, he just, maybe, I'm going to touch on what I was just going to talk about, but I don't remember the details, so then we never have it. Need to bring it up. But in another state, as a result of what they used to call the politics of gerrymandering, someone was able to get financing to build a very expensive tower with using money that was supposed to go to a jobless and homeless program. They were able to get many dollars to build this tower, and of course they're not going to let those people. But they were able to gerrymander the area, and it was allowed to go through. I think that's what you were talking about.
Well, you don't have to go out of this, we can talk about this Dallas. Our federal
Is that what
funds
you were
for,
referring to?
yeah, our federal funds here in Dallas. We're in trouble with the HUD because our city has appropriated funds to projects that were supposed to provide affordable housing, like she said, that didn't do it. And so right now, we've been under audit for a couple years now. Yeah, and we've got to pay that $40 million. So this, and that's not unique to Dallas. You know, developers aren't going to be policing themselves. Politicians are supposed to police the developers. If the politicians are in cahoots, then we've got a problem.
All right, any other comments on this? I wrote down the notes, and so what I'll do is Mr. Holman and I will get back together when he comes back from out of town and talk about what we said here and see kind of what we want our next steps to be so that, you know, we have a 3-month follow-up plan because that's what he wanted to do with this project. So any other comments before we go back to the note card session? All right, anybody else want to have a 3-minute talk? Vent session.
I just wanted to speak in, I guess,
I was gonna let you go last, but go right ahead.
Introduce myself to some. I'm Bruce Butler. I'm the new CEO of Union Gospel Mission Dallas.
All right.
And this is our new Director of Women's Ministry, Ms. Patrice Denny. And we just want to let you all know that although Union Gospel Mission in the past has not been at the table, we hope to be at the table and be. We're in the process process of learning and bringing information in, so we may ask some questions that seem very elementary and commonplace to you, so please forgive us for that. And any information you think we need to know or you want to get us involved in, please include us in the conversation, discussions, meetings, etc.
I was gonna allow you to introduce yourself at the end, but thank you for going ahead and speaking up. It's totally okay. We're very much excited to have you guys here. We've been trying for many years to get Union Gospel as well as Dallas Light to come to the table with this forum. In the past, we've moved away from that. This meeting used to be kind of very aggressive, and a lot of agencies didn't want to come. But we've kind of turned a new leaf, and so we have mostly agencies here today. And so, like I said, we're just very excited that you guys are willing to work with us and want to be at the table and have these conversations, because we hear complaints from about Union Gospel, and now that we have some people here, you guys here, we can get the truth and, kind of know what's going on, and you guys can hear from the clients and know what changes, are expected, things of that nature. So we're very much pleased to have you guys here. Any other comments? Anybody else need to speak for a few minutes? Anybody want to talk about what their agency is doing? Well, Wilshire Baptist Church is having Room in the Inn tonight for 10 young ladies from Austin Street. For those who don't know what Room in the Inn is, it is a partnership between an agency and a faith-based org to house women women and men. They just chose women for tonight. Women or men to provide space in the shelter on that night. We do it during inclement weather, so when it's extremely hot or extremely cold, we will call on the church and say, will you guys open your doors tonight for 10 women so that we can allow 10 women who would normally sleep outside to come into the shelter. So one of the things we hope to gain from this are partnerships, relationships. We want the churches to form a relationship with the women and actually assist them with things that case managers cannot do. Leah's church, St. Paul, has done it in the past. I went to theirs. It was fabulous. I call it a big sleepover because that's what it is. It's just a really big slumber party. We do have the cots and you have the covers. And at Leah's church, when they did it, there was a lady there giving massages. The food was awesome. We watched the movie. It was just a big slumber party, a way for women and, like I say, men to get away from that environment for one night, and that leaves a bed at the shelter. So Room in the Inn has been done tonight at Wilshire Baptist Church in North Dallas. Another thing I wanted to...
And just to piggyback on that, I asked the question of the situation that I'm in. We have formed relationships with women when they do come in, but the next step is how do you follow up the Body and Soul Homeless Ministry at St. Paul United Methodist Church. We've always had meals, hot breakfast meals, big meals, and Sunday evening. But we want to expand and go beyond that. We want to be active in helping people get off the street. And that is to be supported. And this particular person that I was talking to got kind of a little issues, but we don't want that person to get back on the street. So, and she's not assigned a navigator, and that's what we want that person to be assigned a social worker to help her navigate through it. So we want the impact on eliminating homelessness through Room in the Inn.
The way I explain it when I talk to, when I have to present this at churches or at faith-based organizations, it's not just churches, I say I want you to adopt a person and physically walk with them to get their ID. So if when you meet them, they don't have an ID, they need to go to the ISD to get school records, I want you to take them to the ISD. Hold their hand, go pick them up and take them. And then you need to go to Stew Pot to get a Stew Pot ID. Physically take them to the Stew Pot.
That's right.
Case managers, we don't have that kind of time to, take somebody by the hand and go with them step by step to get your ID. And it's very time consuming to send them on the bus, which is what a lot of our clients have to do. But if you have to go to 3 different places just to get your ID,
That's more than an 8-hour day.
that's the entire day. So we like that our women and providers are able to go the extra mile that our case managers are not able to.
And we've done that. I've done that with DISD and that person.
Yep.
Our DISD student pod, he had,
City of
had
Dallas.
to go to trial because he didn't have, it was just, we had to stand for him
Yeah.
that he wasn't doing this. His name was not right on the birth certificate. So we had him and went all the way through, and he was in a house, he was out of a house. So it does work, and you have to have people to volunteer to do that.
And they've been working, how many people have y'all housed this year?
Well, we've housed about 3 or 4 this year, but in the total,
Yeah.
in existence, we've housed 9 people.
9 people. I've helped them house at least 2 that I can think of off the bat, so they're, and these are the types of things that we want our faith-based organizations to do. We started a new faith-based committee, collaborative, I think it's a collaborative. We're meeting on Monday at 1:30 at Cathedral of Hope. Or are we there?
Well, we did Cathedral of Hope last time.
She just sent me a deal.
Oh, they doing it again?
I don't know, let me see.
Yeah, I've been involved in it.
Oh, that's what we did, hold on. Oh, actually, is that being your gospel?
Oh,
You guys are hosting.
Oh, I'm sorry, yes. We're going to, this
Monday at 1 o'clock. We're gonna be at the Address Line Cast for our faith-based meeting this Monday. So there you go.
okay, great.
He came to the meeting last month and volunteered to have us meet at their location. So that's good, gonna be good.
And I had a call into the young lady, I can't call her name right now,
Okay.
that was coordinating that meeting. So I'm assuming is it just snacks in the afternoon, that's after lunch? We don't mind lunch, but we
No,
should.
snacks is good. We're not picky.
What's that and lunch?
We're not picky at all. It's whatever your organization can afford to do. If you can't
Well, we're
provide
happy
everything,
with
we're
lunch, but
good.
we didn't know what the time period of people would be through eating or not.
We are planning to be there at 1, and so it'll be from about 1 to 2, it looks like.
Right,
Once
and they would ask us for a pre-tour possibly,
Okay.
pre-approved. So we're agreeable to a pre, is that right, Patrice?
You wanna do it, so what time do you want us to be there?
What time?
You can do it after, we can come at 1, and then we have the meeting, and then do the tour.
I guess after.
Okay, so we'll meet you guys there at 1 o'clock.
If some people wanted to eat, if you would let Ms. Patrice know the number, we would want to do that.
I will meet with Charlotte and let her know.
Okay.
Glad you guys are here. So yes, that collaboration is gonna be on Monday at 1 at Union Gospel at the 4815 Cass address, if anyone is interested in going there. My last 2 announcements, Case Manager of the Year. I have quite a few case managers here. MBHA has sent out an email about a Case Manager of the Year award, so if you're a case manager, get with your agency, because it's 1 nominee per agency. And talk it over. If you want to be nominated, just tell your boss, hey, I did a good job this year. I deserve this award, And then the last thing that I want to promote, put out there is the Ready to Rent program. I talked a little bit about it a second ago. It's a 6-week curriculum for our homeless neighbors who are getting ready to move into their apartment. It goes over, we have 3 speakers who come, someone from banking and finance, someone from legal aid to talk about your lease. They go over each section of the lease. And then someone from fair housing who talks about your rights as a tenant. So we have those 3 speakers who come. I go over how to properly apartment search. We write a script, which was used to call, and then also used to, for when you go to the apartment to look for, what to say and what not to say, those types of things. So if you are an agency here today and you would like me to come out and present that class to your clients who are getting ready to move into their apartment, like they're going to be moving within 3 to 4 months. If they're, I can come out and present that. It does have incentives One of the incentives is a $50 moving kit for attending all 6 classes, and then I give out incentives each class period. I don't have any more announcements. Anybody have any announcements? Anything going on at their organization? Any housing available? All right, well, that's it.
I just had some cards for some people, and Ms. Patrice will have hers soon.
Okay.
So if you have any thoughts, comments, please be nice and send it to me. I will do.
Make sure you sign in for me also.
Oh, look who's here.
And we will see you guys next month on the second Friday, same bat time, same bat page.
This is William, hopefully your favorite videographer from Two Hats Publishing. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you like it, please leave comments below, or like, follow, or subscribe to us and get notices of all our videos. We love it, even when you call.